right, my friends. So you're in for a bit of a treat today. I mean, you're really in for a treat in all of our episodes, but lately I've been featured on more and more podcasts. And this episode coming up, I am actually a guest on someone else's podcast. And I'm honored because I'm actually the first guest that she's had as she launches her podcast. And I'm so excited to have you hear this because there are amazing golden nuggets. As you know, we like to share on the Stern Truth. We're sharing it on Stephanie's podcast, and I'm reusing it with her permission on the Stern Truth because both Stephanie and myself drop, like, seriously, grab that pad of paper and pen. I'm not even going to say anymore. Just have a listen to this episode, and I would love your feedback. Enjoy. Hi, I'm Marshall Stern, and I've spent over 35 years leading and growing multiple small businesses. I know firsthand the struggles of entrepreneurship, feeling isolated, lonely, overwhelmed, and feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. I've been through multiple recessions, and I have felt the highs and the lows. I've been there, and I get it. This podcast is here to change that. Every week, I will bring you straight talking advice, real-world strategies, and honest conversations about what it takes to succeed in business without the fluff, the gimmicks, or the sugarcoating. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress, then you are in the right place. This is the Stern Truth.
Today, I'm with Marshall Stern, and I have to say, recently I had the great fortune of attending one of Marshall's Connect and Collaborate online business meetings through the Small Business Owners of BC. And it was such a great group. I'd never been before. I was a virgin, according to Marshall, and now I'm not, I'm pro. So I have to tell you on a personal note, Marshall made me feel safe, seen, and heard. I was able to introduce my business, introduce myself. Of course, I had questions, lots of questions. And he was asking me questions, listening intently, encouraging the others in the group to provide support and also some recommendations, which I really found helpful. And there was something someone said that I thought, I hadn't thought about that before. So I will certainly be back. Proud to have been at my very first meeting, and I got a t-shirt for it. One of the things that I love about Marshall is that he has this ability to lead with generosity, wisdom, and truth. And quite frankly, he's an all-around nice guy. You can't meet a nicer guy. And he's a gem of a human. So I'm so happy, Marshall, that you're here today to talk with us. And please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for that introduction. I've been looking forward to this, and thank you for having me. I'm generally an all-around nice guy. I'll take that now, but I know when, as a guy growing up, when you're a teenager, you don't want to be the nice guy, right?
No.
Known as a nice guy. But now I'll take it. Now I'll take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm been in business for, I'm aging myself. Well, you can see by my hair. Over 35 years, multiple businesses. I sold a design and graphics company called Sandbox, which I sold almost now 3 years ago, which is amazing. Time flies. And I've been coaching and mentoring other business owners like yourself, like myself, for 14 years now. And I just love connecting. I love helping business owners build a business that serves their life.
Do.
Why do I do what I do? I think it was always in me, but really I feel like when I started out in business, there was so much that, even though I grew up in an entrepreneurial family background, and I had a business when I was 16 and different businesses through school, I found it was very lonely. And I found that even when I started my last business, which I sold almost now 3 years ago, it was at times it felt isolating. I was the business owner. I was the leader, the buck stops with you kind of thing. And I had a team, I had employees, and there were ups and downs. I went through recessions and all that kind of stuff, and obviously the pandemic. And I just felt that there needed to be more, something more. And there's so much noise out there. There's so many so-called experts out there, Stephanie, that I've felt, it might sound woo-woo or whatever, but a calling to make a difference. So I'm trying to cut through all the BS and just have people, right? I always say I don't coach businesses per se. I coach the business owner, the leader, because it's all from the inside out. It starts with them. Sure, I go into systems and processes, and I work with all of that and their sales teams and their leadership team, but it starts with the business owner. And I just love it. I just love seeing the transformation and love seeing the aha moments and love seeing people. I help my clients see what they can't see. And I love that.
Yeah, I love that you have this kind of innate calling. Obviously, you just said, hey, like I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So there's a lot of kind of modeling for you and to see, wow, that looks cool. Like I want to do that too. Had you ever decided that you wanted to go into like a corporate job or like a regular job? Did that ever kind of come to you at all?
Uh, Um,
We're getting the heebie-jeebies all of a
yeah.
sudden.
So I
Take it
started.
off. Take it off, Marshall.
I'm from Winnipeg, because you said I'm an all around nice guy. So of course I'm from the prairies. When I moved out here, I went to BCIT. When I graduated, I wanted to be an ad guy. I was like, I grew up in this sort of the 30 something. I don't know if you remember the TV show 30 something.
Oh, yes, yes.
I wanted to be, I think his name was Michael. I wanted to be him, except for the drama part. I didn't want that stuff, but I wanted to be the ad guy. But no one was hiring. It was 1990 when I graduated.
Yeah.
And no one was hiring. There was a recession. People were cutting back. Up all the ad agencies. I ended up through my practicum working for BC Lottery Corporation. So I ended up staying there for 4 years, or almost 4 years, 3 years.
Okay.
And I tried to climb the ladder, and it was like, yuck.
Yeah.
It was
It's
like,
pretty flat. It's pretty flat there, I would imagine.
yeah, there were lifers. There are people there probably that still work there that I worked with back 35 years ago. Well, maybe, yeah. And it was a great company, but it wasn't for me. I needed something more. And to move ahead, it wasn't all about just skill and ability back then, right? There was more to it. And I'm not them, just corporate, right? And bureaucracy, also Crown Corporation. I loved my time there, and it really helped me understand people and business a little bit, marketing, because I was in the marketing sales department, but I needed something more. And I never won the lottery when I was there, so I know.
Still crossing my fingers, Marshall.
So I realized corporate, I had nothing to do with them. They were a great organization. So, they really were, but it wasn't for me. I needed more, and I needed to have control. I guess came down to, Stephanie, I needed to have control over my own destiny. Right. And that's what I did. It wasn't easy.
It's a great lesson, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't get that. I mean, you had to go through that experience to become where you are right now. So there's nothing you would change. I'm sure it's like you have to understand what you also don't like, I think, to figure out, that's not what I wanted to do. And that's okay. It's totally okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. What do you think people misunderstand about entrepreneurship? What do you think that's a big misunderstanding that people have about that area of business?
That's a great question. I think people get confused with entrepreneurship and being a business owner, and they're not the same. They're not synonymous. They can be. You can be definitely an entrepreneur who owns a business, but you don't have to be. You can be an entrepreneur working in a corporation. Usually you don't last long or if it's a startup, right? You're working for someone else, helping them get off. Entrepreneurs like to start things. Entrepreneurs are freaking creative. They have ideas. They go, but they usually get bored, which is a challenge. So it is challenging being an entrepreneur and a business owner. Business owner, we know what that is. A lot of business owners really aren't entrepreneurs. Yeah. Okay. So I think the most challenging thing with being an entrepreneur is staying power. You usually like to start things, but you don't like to necessarily finish them.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
You're a starter. You have all these ideas, but once it's up and running, yes, you can start other divisions, expansion, but once everything is going the way you had envisioned it, because it's all about the vision, you get bored. And shiny object syndrome sets in, right? And the experts, the online experts, we go there, we go here. Oh, I should do that. And it's really, I think real entrepreneurs are never fully satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's lonely.
You mentioned the word control before. Is it control, and is it like creativity and not being able to have that kind of creative outlet? Like once you've had the vision realized, then it's like, I got to go to the next thing. Is that what you're... kind of saying there?
I think so. I mean, I think it's different for everyone. And obviously, in the end, I mean, it's just a label, right? So everyone is different and everyone has different challenges. But I think just overall, in my own experience, I mean, I'm definitely an entrepreneur by spirit, but there are people out there, there are entrepreneurs out there who are much more, I'm an entrepreneur, but there are a lot of people out there who are really much more entrepreneurial. So there's probably a spectrum of entrepreneurship.
Right.
I don't think it's like, right, everyone's the same. It's like anything else. I mean, although a business owner, you're a business owner. You own a business, okay, you can call yourself a business owner. But I think entrepreneurs, there's definitely a spectrum. There are some who are just so great at starting. They have those ideas, they have those passions, and then they have to pass it off to someone else and then move on to the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, right? I had my business for 29 years. That was part of the problem. So I started in a franchise. My sign company originally as a franchise. This is where the problem was. I was an entrepreneur. Majority of franchisees are not entrepreneurial. Majority of franchisees want to buy a system. They want to be in business for themselves. So they have maybe they're a 2 or 3 on an entrepreneurial scale. Okay.
They're buying themselves a job.
They're buying themselves a job, or I mean, they might, or they'll have employees, but it's a system. And they're fine with that. And they follow the system to a T. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you own Subway franchises or McDonald's, like you can do really, really well. And a lot of them do grow. That's the other thing. I think you can definitely grow in your entrepreneurialism, whatever that would be. But I got bored and I pushed back because I was like a rogue franchisee and I wanted to do things my way.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be in this box. And entrepreneurs can't be kept in a box. So
it's like creating your own system. Like you would love to create your own system, but because you are a franchisee, you bought into someone's system and said, I'll do that. Right. Yes. And having your own creativity and adding your own ideas sometimes are not welcomed or they're not inspired. No one's like encouraging you to be doing that because, hey, we have a system, stick to it, you'll do well.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, if you imagine, I can't even believe I did it now, but if you imagine, let's say I owned a McDonald's, can you imagine an owner, a franchisee of McDonald's, because they're all franchise based, where I think most of them are, changing the golden arches to like burgundy because they didn't like the golden arch color, right? Or changing it from the, the roundy, whatever, to like a totally different font and burgundy. That's what I did when I had the franchise. A few years in, I'd merged with another franchise. We merged together, the same location, same company, same brand. We had 2 locations and we decided we hated the color scheme of the franchise we were part of. So we made we didn't change the logo per se, but we did I remember we did a sign out front with, it was supposed to be red and yellow and we changed it to like silver on black because we were in Yaletown. We had to be very Yaletown, Yaletown. We had to be very fancy and very high end, upper scale. So we did like the silver logo and a black background and we were ordered immediately to take it down.
I guess so. And did you?
We had to, yes.
And did you say, well, that was a sign?
Pardon the pun. Yes, that was a sign. And that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, I bet. Or the beginning, as it turns out.
I like that. That's the shift. Yes.
Every end has a beginning as well, which is so... Sometimes we have to remind ourselves about that because it's so devastating that I didn't expect that end, but there is always a beginning, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, that was 2004. So I was 10 years, just over 10 years and 2 months in. I left. We moved. We had to move like 2 miles to protect the innocent, change our name to protect the innocent, and open up Sandbox Signs and Graphics in Burnaby. My vision, my logo, my brand identity, what we wanted to build, what we wanted to get away from and what we want to go to. And we were there from basically January 1st, 2005 until I sold it in June 2023. So,
and was it as easy as you thought it could be, even having your own?
Hell no.
Yeah.
No.
I had a feeling. It's like what you thought would be easier wasn't necessarily, I'm sure.
It was easier because in the sense that we could step into our own brand, our own feeling, do what we wanted to do. And the franchise I was part of wasn't like really restrictive. It was restrictive in certain areas, brand for sure, and marketing, yes, but not the way, like we could do certain things ourselves. It wasn't like McDonald's or Subway and that's what makes them so successful. It's like you go anywhere in the world and it's the same thing.
Because
The systems, right, and the processes. But there was no, all of a sudden I had this, what I thought was no support, right? Or a lack of support from the franchise, because there really wasn't a lot. All of a sudden I went to zero support.
right. You
Right.
had to rely on yourself and your partner.
Well, my partner I bought him out at that time. So it was just
Just
me.
you, just
So it
you.
was just
Okay.
me and my 8 staff or 7 staff members at the time.
Mhm.
And going to a whole new problem was we went into a territory in Burnaby that we were never in because there was a franchise already that we were part of that was in Burnaby. So we could never compete in Burnaby. So we all of a sudden had zero clients, not zero, we had some, but very little in Burnaby. So what did I do? I bought that Burnaby sign shop.
Okay.
So now 6 months into us moving to Burnaby, so now we had this presence in Burnaby. Yeah. And then 18 years later, I sold the business.
What was the biggest lesson that you got from that, having that business?
People.
I'm sure many
People.
lessons. But
Yeah, but it was, oh, okay. Yeah, many. I mean, like, how much time do we have? Resilient. Okay. The
as
first
much
thing,
as you want.
first thing for me, like personally, I would say resilience. Okay. I mean, I went through still more recession, another recession, then obviously we all did the pandemic. So I would say resilience and persistency. I would say, but overall, the number one, and I think the most important thing any business leader, business owner needs to be aware of is people. And I knew that before, but even more so. It was so much more important, especially going through recessions and then the pandemic. We're signing companies, and companies all across the world were laying off employees.
Yeah.
I remember when March 12th happened or whatever it was, 2020, I remember coming home and my wife said, well, I was talking to her brother-in-law and we just, you have to let them go.
Oh,
You're shut down. We're shut because she worked in the company at that point. She never did before, but she worked in that company. And I said, no, I'm not going to. These people, they have families. They're my people. One of them had been with me at that point since, for 24 years, 23 years. And I said, plus this is temporary. Remember back then they kept saying 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Right.
But we also knew the government was talking about coming out with some sort of support for small business or for business, wage subsidy and all that. So I said, I'm not going to, because I'll never get them back. And finding good people in this industry is really challenging. So I kept them, and we worked all through April. We wrapped up our jobs that we had. We never shut down. We were an essential service because, we basically just cleaned up our place in the month of April and put wall wraps up, but it was shorter days. Fridays were closed, but shorter days, Monday through Thursday. And then May 1st happened, and we all of a sudden were swamped with all these plexiglass shields and the graphics like keeps 6 feet apart, the decals, and we went from our worst month in at that point 20 whatever years, 25 years to our busiest month ever for the 1 month, because we were all the community centers, buildings, and whatever, we were just swamped. But
and you could never have foreseen that coming. I mean,
nobody
the
could.
plexiglass industry.
No, and we didn't even do that.
Yeah. So that's
Right?
that pivot that you probably had to do and realize, if we want business, we're going to have to do something we've never done before, which is scary.
Yeah. So we had to, again, be resilient. We had to be innovative. And I reached out to the Podiatrist Association and the Dental Association. And we ended up being, for those two associations, the go-to company for all of these desktop plexiglass shields, right? It was not a great thing. I mean, it just kept us busy a little bit, but honestly, like, they weren't our ideal client. They never bought from us ever again after that. That's all they ever bought, because they don't really buy graphics. So maybe some decals for their front door to keep, if you have this symptom, go home. But it was people. It was my people. It was all. So you asked that question. I think people are the number one most important. Whether you have employees or not, you have to build a team.
Even if it's just a team of one, like other than yourself.
It could be team one. It could be just having someone like yourself on your team, a coach, a mentor, right? A bookkeeper, a virtual assistant. You need to have, we can't do it all by ourselves. We can't
No,
do it all
it's
by
that.
ourselves.
It's the realization that if you want to scale, if you want to get to a next level, it's, who do you have on the bus with you on that journey, right? And it's understanding what your strengths are, I would imagine, and where you have some points of development, because we all do, or weaknesses. I'm from HR world, so we call it points of development. But, your weaknesses, where you really needed to say, hey, like, I'm not strong here, but who can I bring on the bus with me? And that's building team.
Building team. And you know what? I always say, one other thing I didn't say in my intro is I did write a book in 2009. I just didn't do much with it. I think I sold it to 2 people, my mom and an ex-girlfriend.
That's team.
That's a team. But it's called The Stern Truth on growing your business in any economy. Okay. Because I know 2008, everything was falling apart. And it was like basically like 4 shifts. And one of them was 4 focuses. And one of them was focus on your people. And I said in the book, and our people, meaning our people, I said in the book, our most important customer is our employees. It's our people. So for your listeners, if they have people, if they have employees, coworkers, that's the most important. You take care of them. If you're a leader in a company, or if it's your company, if you take care of your people, they will take care of your people.
Absolutely. How did you take care of your people?
I didn't lay them off when the going went rough. Right? I connected with them. It's one thing I can actually honestly say, because I am trained as a leadership coach. I don't talk about that until I'm working with a client. Then I'll bring it up. I call myself like a leadership coach in disguise. Because a lot of, in the corporate world, if I was to work with executives, that's 100%. I'd be like, hey, I'm an executive leadership coach.
Yes, but the label matters.
Label matters. Small business owners, just like whatever. I don't need a leadership coach. That's for executives. That's for CEOs, C-suite, right? I connected with them. Now, it doesn't matter if you have 8 employees, 1 employee, or 100 or 500 employees. There are ways to connect with them. And I was curious about them. I not like constantly throughout the day, like nagging them, but I would always, how's your weekend? How's your wife? How's the kids? That sort of thing. They knew they had it good with me. My wife used to work in banking, one of the big banks, and so before she came to work for me, she would always say to me, they run all over, like they walk all over you. You treat them way too well. That would never happen in banking. You're exactly right. It wouldn't. That's why my production manager stayed with me for 26 years. And other ones stayed with me 15 years. The turnover in banking is totally different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Keeping your people. And then currently, what are you working on right now? Lots of things.
Always. If you're not growing, you're not growing, right?
Because you're entrepreneurial. So I know you're on to something else. I know you've got some creativity going on here. So what are you up to now?
Well, so I've recently launched, it's actually a year ago now, I launched my podcast, The Stern Truth. Thank you. Business Unfiltered. So congratulations to you. This is awesome. So I'm continuing to grow that. I just recently launched a group for leaders and business owners called the ONtrepreneur Inner Circle, which is it's like a sounding board, virtual. So you come in and similar type of like room to what you were at, you mentioned the Connect and Collaborate, but this is like structured, but loosely structured, if I may say. But it's all about accountability, support, coaching, guidance, talking about the stern truths about being a leader and owning a business or running a business. And I'm working on a few other things that will be announced shortly.
Okay. Well, stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Well, I love that you have the connection groups, because I think you mentioned earlier when we first started that, you're alone. You may not have the backing of your partner, or you have different visions, and possibly there's that loneliness. And so certainly that will help the people that you're working with not feel like they're alone, number one, and that they also have connections with the other folks in the room, and that they're more similar than different, is what I would suggest. Do you find that with your clients, that they seem to have more similarities than differences?
It's interesting you say that. So yes, I've had some people say to me, because I had a Momentum was my last group that I had. We ran it for a couple of years, and it was 2 times a month. This one's a little bit more structured. It's weekly. Whenever I talk to people about approach them, come check it out as a guest and say, oh, well, let's say they're a bookkeeper. do you have any other bookkeepers in? I say, okay, well, no, or might be one. Well, I prefer to have a more industry, like I'd like to join a group if it's just all bookkeepers or all digital marketers, right? Industry specific, because we have the same struggles. And I push back saying, you know what, we all have the same. And there's a benefit to being part of an industry focused group, and there's benefit to not. Because the problem with these industry specific groups is everyone thinks the same way. Everyone has a sort of that same lens. Like
It
if
could be
you're
a danger for that, for sure.
right. So there's a benefit and a danger. Our group, it's people, it's majority are people in the B2B space, but we have a guy who has a renovation company. And he adds so much value to the group. So there's the power of an inner circle is the power of the members. And I'm very specific and selective as who I allow in. And he is totally different than the rest of the members, but he brings so much value. If you just listen to him, he's so growth oriented. Business is business.
Absolutely. And people, no matter what industry you're in, you're bound to have a lesson for somebody. It's like they're
100%.
possibly going to encounter that, or they're encountering it, and it's just a breath of fresh air to hear someone about their struggles that they're overcoming, right? I think that that makes a lot of sense to kind of hear, no matter what industry. What do you find, Marshall, is like the biggest mistake that your clients are making?
Well, they're not making them anymore because they're my clients. However,
Right. From the beginning, though.
from the beginning, I'm kidding.
Before and after.
I am actually quite humble, so I hope they're not making them now. But before, what I see people making, okay, I have to, I guess, as a caveat, okay, I'll put this into perspective. There's nothing wrong with people who are, let's say, again, I'll use the bookkeeper. Let's say you're a bookkeeper for a company and you decide, I'm tired of working for them, I want to have my own gig. So you become a bookkeeper and you're doing the books. And that's what you do. You get some clients, you're full, but you're not really you don't really care about growing that. You just want to have a full plate, and that's fine. You buy yourself a job. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking about these people. People who want to grow their business. Biggest challenge, biggest mistake I see them make is that they limit themselves by trying to do everything themselves. They get stuck in that bookkeeper who wants to just have a job. They get stuck what I call the employee mindset. Or even the business operator mindset. Or, we talked about this earlier, the franchisee mindset, which is a business operator and employee mindset where you're stuck doing it all yourself. Think even if you're in corporate, right? Corporate's not really my thing. People are my thing. Is you think I can do it better. I could do it faster. Why am I going to spend time training someone new when I could just do it? By the time I've trained them, it's done. But now that's prevented you from actually building your business. And most of the activities that you're working on, which I think is what happens with small business owners, is it drains them. The activities, the administrative, it could be social media, activities that are draining them, really hold them back from growing their business. And if they would just be a little bit more entrepreneurial, be a little bit more visionary, which is what I call the ONtrepreneur, ON, right?
I like that.
Then it's about investing. It's about taking a leap of faith, investing. Bring on a virtual assistant or an employee. Bring on a coach or a mentor to help you. Bring on people on your team so that you can actually build a business instead of a busyness.
And isn't that a self-care piece as well? I mean,
100%. Because if you're
I can't imagine all the hats. I mean, they're up top, up past the ceiling, I mean, that's a lot of stress on people, I would think, for sure. And so taking a leap of faith and investing in someone and vetting them out as you feel comfortable doing and having them on your team, I think makes a lot of sense.
Well, it allows you to grow. It allows you to do the things that really, like, my podcast would have never happened if it wasn't for me bringing people on my team to help me with it. Right. Because I had a podcast 10 or 11 years ago, and I only lasted like 20 episodes because I just got tired of doing it all myself. And it's really not a lot of work. It's just work. And it was work that was taking me away from what I really wanted to do. And so this time around, I knew what was holding me back from launching. I wanted to relaunch it for 3 years. It was that I didn't have that team. So I hired the team. When you go to talking about this, like, the self-care is huge. That's why my one-to-one program is called Business and Life Mastery, because it's all about both. Not balance, not work-life balance, because there's no work-life balance on a given day. You know that.
No, there isn't. I call it harmony. I'm like, where are
I
my
love
gifts
that.
of harmony?
Yes, I love that. I mean, at the end of the month, at the end of your life, for sure, you want that balance or the harmony. But in any given day, it's not feasible. But I work with a lot of women who have kids, younger kids, like a young family, and they have the struggle of the juggle, and it's real. And they're trying to build this business. They're trying to build their career, like as a leader in a corporation, maybe. And then they have these little ones, or they have aging parents,
Yes, yes.
right?
The sandwich generation, right?
Absolutely.
Taking care of kids, taking care of the elderly folks. I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot, and taking care of the business. And yet who's number 3 on that list, or number 4? Because then they got their significant other somewhere in there.
I was going to say, what the heck? Where's the partner in all of this?
Yeah. So one thing I'm really big into is, that self-care, taking the time, even if it's 10 minutes at a time in between, you can do it, right?
Absolutely.
And you need to
Absolutely.
do it.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you just said about the partner. And as you know, as a relationship strategist working with women and couples, I'm noticing a lot of disconnection when we've got an entrepreneurial woman or man, and they're trying to build their business, they're trying to be successful. But what I'm noticing from the folks that I'm working with is that, the connection at home is absolutely, well, non-existent. Like they just don't make that a priority. Have you noticed that with the folks that you're working with as well? Like it just seems to be, a lot of conflict is happening with folks now because they're trying to aspire, get their goals, build their business, and they just don't have that same support or connection at home at this point. Have you noticed
Yeah.
that as well?
I have both professionally and personally. So I have a friend of mine who, him and his wife were lawyers, and they were on the corporate ladder. He really was early on. This is again in the 90s, and he just put everything into his job, and he ended up losing his marriage because of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even though she also was a lawyer, but the relationship was more important to her. Eventually having a family was more important to her. Now, both of them moved on. They've both gotten married, both have kids, and they're both very happy. So everything worked out, but it doesn't always. And 100%. Like it's one of the things I do with my private clients is we end every session with accountability. They have to, like, what are the action steps you're going to do in the next week or the next 2 weeks? If they have a significant other, one of them is always, right? Not every single week, but they know early on they have to be accountable to whether it's date night, spending whatever it is time. Same thing if they have kids, and for themselves as well.
Just making sure that, you know what, we're not just all business. It's really quite personal too, isn't it? And making sure that the kids, the family, because why are we building businesses? Isn't it for families? Isn't it for our partners? Isn't it for a better life? Isn't it for legacy? When you think about it. And what a shame if that doesn't come across to your family, that like they're always working. It's not about us. It's always about them and they're never here. It's really to make sure that connection. I love that you do that with your clients.
Well, none of them. So here's one gold nugget I like to call it. I'd like to give your listeners, and I really want them to hear this one because I went through this. When I trained to be a leadership coach, which was in 2011, okay, I was like drinking the Kool-Aid. This was my kids were young, but I was all about this. And I thought I was like, I was reading it, I was digesting it. It's all I ever talked about. And I remember being out for dinner. I remember it's not there anymore, the Milestones. I don't remember the one on Cambion 8th or whatever, upstairs. And I remember with my wife and my 2 young kids, and my wife, I remember her saying something to the effect of, you're being a leader for all these other people, because I was trying to coach at that time and bring leadership into my sign company. She said, you're not being a leader for your family anymore. And I was like, one of the things I was always proud of was being all hands on deck. I'm the dad. My mom used to like, your father never changed diapers. And then, my wife would be out and my mom would call and say, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just hanging out with the kids. My wife went out. She goes, oh, you're babysitting. Not babysitting. They're my kids. But that was a different generation. So I always took pride in being present. But all of a sudden I wasn't. And I didn't know that. And I fought back on that. I said, what are you talking about? Because I was so deep into it. And it took about 6 months until I realized she was right. Just a tip for all of you listening. If your significant other, your partner, is telling you something, saying that you're not being present or they're not getting this from you, One thing about being a leader, Stephanie, and I know you know this, one of the biggest, I think, characteristics of a really good leader is being able to look at themselves in the mirror and take accountability and own it. Just slow down and let's listen to what they're saying. I know when we're in the heat of the moment, we're in something, we're like, they say love is blind. So you fall in love with whatever it is. It's like everything else is like, that's all you see. Listen to the people around you. Listen to the closest people around you. Sometimes, not always, sometimes they're onto something. And it's usually always onto something. Whether it's to the degree they're saying, just step back and analyze.
Just being curious about what does that person who loves me the most in the world, what are they actually telling me here at this point?
Yeah, whether it's because it's not your reality, but it is theirs.
Right.
And I know you know more than anyone, being a relationship coach, right? It is theirs. So they're obviously not getting something from you, or your kids aren't getting something from you. So don't say, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Like, they're obviously feeling it. So it is reality. It's just not yours. But it has now become your reality because it's their reality. And it's the same thing with leaders, business owners with their people. And it's the same thing, I can go even further on. That's from another episode, with your clients. Like, come on, listen to your people.
Because it's all about how do you make people feel when they're in your presence, right? And I think that's, no matter what you say, it's really about what is that feeling? I think that's really important to consider. I have a question for you. What is the best compliment that you had ever received? And I'm sure you've received many, but I'm just curious about one that really stands out for you.
So I've heard it since. I've had some really nice testimonials, which is like, oh my God, it's like make me want to cry. I would say the one that really grabbed me, and it's been said since in different variations. I was and this was from another coach, so it meant even more.
Yeah.
I was in a marketing coaching program years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. And one of the women said, and I was the only guy, I was the only dude in this program. It was like me and 15 other women.
Love it.
And she said, Marshall, you know what I love about you? And she said in front of the group, right? It was on Zoom. And I said, what's that? She goes, and this is fine. This is full circle, Stephanie, because you came on, you said that I'm such an all-around nice guy, or I'm a nice guy. I wouldn't have liked,
you are.
I wouldn't have wanted to hear this when I'm like 17. Let me just say this. What this person said. She said, you're safe. And I went, what do you mean by that? And she said, there are a lot of people out there, not just men, predominantly men, she said, men, women, coaches, all these experts out there or whatever. It's not relatable. You can't resonate with them. You don't feel like you could open up to them. She said, whenever you're in the room, I just feel safe with you. I feel like I can tell you anything. And that really not changed the way I coached, but really, I guess, added to it. It was a big insight. Like, I was giving off this feeling, this confidence feeling, or this feeling of just, I guess, the all around nice guy thing, but safe. And that's something that I think as a coach, as a mentor, people want is, even if you're like a therapist, same thing. They want to know that they're safe with you. Right. And that's why, like, the Entrepreneur Inner Circle is a safe space. Connect and collaborate that you were at the other day, which we do once a month. Our next one's March 19th. It's a safe space. I will not allow any BS. Right. It's not there to like get referrals, and it's not there. Right. It's just safe. I want people to feel safe, because we all know, like, just in this world, there's even more so as we record this, so much things that are unsafe.
Yes.
But that was it. I told you I was going to go on a rant, but
she love it.
She said that, and I've had that back in different testimonials and Google reviews over the years in different ways, but that would probably be that hit home.
Yeah, I think that is the ultimate compliment. When someone feels that they can be vulnerable in your presence and that you are not going to be judgy about it, you're going to have them feel like they've been seen and heard. I think that is the ultimate compliment. And I'm not surprised that you have that running theme. I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Especially being a guy, right? I mean, you don't get it. So I think that's what made it even more special. And that's what she was saying. And she was, that's it.
That's so great. So what are you currently, can you give us an idea about what you're currently working on right now that you're really excited about? I know you have some upcoming things, but some things that we should be knowing that's upcoming. You talked about Connect and Collaborate will be coming up March 19th, which is amazing. And what other things are you looking at promoting or anything like that?
Really, here's the thing. It depends on for your listeners, where they're at, in business, in their career. The Entrepreneur Inner Circle is a really good room, and it's a safe room. So if you're a business owner or you're a leader of in an organization, not of it, or it could be or in an organization, you can come, just reach out to me. You can come as a guest, check it out. Yeah. That's a paid group, right? It's nominal, but it's a paid group. Can't even speak today. Connect and Collaborate is completely free. We do that once a month. So definitely check that out. And if you're I'd be happy to offer a session with someone. If they're like stuck in a certain area in their business, if they have a business or they're a leader in a company, and they just have something called a blind spot assessment. So I guess I can offer that.
Okay.
It's basically just getting on a Zoom call and just going through basically how you show up every day as a leader, the activities you're working on, and where the gap might be. And I'd be more than happy to offer that. Those are things I'm always working on these, right? The Entrepreneur Inner Circle will get full probably in the next month or so.
Okay.
When it gets to that point, maybe I open up a second group cohort. I don't know. It's ongoing, but I'd love to have one or two guests each week just to check it out. So that's basically what I have right now.
Yeah, well, that seems like a lot. And I appreciate your generosity in offering the folks how to connect with you. And maybe what is the best way to connect with you?
I can go on LinkedIn at Marshall Stern, Instagram. LinkedIn's a great place. You can also just email me. Good old way, marshall@marshallstern.net. So it's .net. It's 2 L's in Marshall, and it's .net. Well, and also the podcast. Listen to the podcast, just like this one, Stern Truth Business Unfiltered. But it's marshallstern.net, not .com, because that's some comedian in Chicago. And
that's somebody else.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. He seems nice, but he's got the .com, so it's the wrong one. So it's .net. I'm also going to be doing some upcoming webinar. Each month I do usually a webinar on different things to help you in your business.
That's great. And you have a website as well.
marshallstern.net, not .com.
Yes.
If you want to hire a comedian in Chicago, .com. If you want to hire or talk to a coach anywhere, because I work at anywhere pretty much.
And you're just as funny.
No, I don't know if I'm as funny. Can I tell a dad joke then? See if
yes, of course.
Okay,
of course.
What did the 0 say to the 8?
I don't know.
Nice belt.
Oh my goodness. Yep, that's a dad joke. That is a dad joke. So maybe the other website for the comedian.
Fair. Touché.
Well, I really appreciate your humor and just the wealth of wisdom that you've provided today. I really appreciate that you were here, Marshall. And I just want to wish you all the best. You are such a nice guy, and you are brilliant to work with. So I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. Received, and I appreciate him back at you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to The Stern Truth. If you found today's episode helpful, we would love to hear from you. Please like, share, and leave us a review. Also, if you'd like to be a guest in an upcoming episode or join us in one of our Momentum Accountability Group sessions, simply email me to marshall@marshallstern.net. That's marshallstern.net. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep pushing forward and leading with confidence.